It's the Criterion. It's the Criterion. Criterion. N. Project. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Criterion Project. I am Conrado Falco, and I am here, as always, with my wonderful co-host, the great Rachel Wagner. Rachel, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing pretty well. We're still under quarantine in this time of social distancing, but we're
Yes.
holding on as best as we can.
Yes. Yesterday I had a friend of mine was kind enough to pick me up from dropping my car off at the mechanic, and I was in the back seat with my mask on. She had her mask on, but it was so nice to, because I mean I haven't spent any time with other humans aside from a grocery store, but with
Mhm.
actual friends I haven't spent, or family, for so long. I was like, it's so good to see you. I
Yeah,
missed you so much. So yeah, it's been a crazy time to be alive. That's for sure. So
that's definitely for sure. It's also been a time for a lot of movie watching, at least in
yes,
my corner of the world.
yes.
So, Rachel, is there anything that you have been seeing on the Criterion channel lately?
So this is actually not on Criterion channel right now, but it is a Criterion release. It's interesting, when I set up my blind spot project for this year, which is a series I do on my blog, where every month I review a popular film, a classic or popular film that I have not seen. And I've been doing it since like 2016. I've been doing it for a long time. Anyway, and I picked a pretty bold pick for April and decided to do the Three Colors trilogy.
Oh,
Yes, by Krzysztof Kieslowski. Sorry if I said that wrong. And it's interesting, in the initial post, I was like, that's gonna be really hard to watch 3 movies in April. Little did I
not
know.
anymore.
Yeah. And so I finished watching the first one. So I'll report as I in our next couple episodes
Mhm,
about each one. But this is the first one is called Blue,
mhm.
and it stars Juliette Binoche as this woman who uh, whose husband and daughter dies in this car accident at the beginning of the film, and he is a composer, and so she kind of, it's just all about her grieving process and her kind of turning against music for a time, and it's a very like walk around with this person kind of movie.
Mhm.
It's not a, some people might say it's a little boring, but because there's not a ton of plot. But I think that Juliette Binoche is really good, and it's definitely very moving, and it's a beautiful movie. And the way that they bring in the blue lighting in authentic ways, it could be really gimmicky, but I didn't think it was. And so it's definitely made me really excited to see the other two in the trilogy and see how they all kind of work together. And the idea is that it's showing each part of the French flag, and it's
Right.
liberty, equality, and
Fraternity.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm
Did you see
excited to see him.
any traces of liberty in this movie? Because some people feel like that thing about the flag is just it doesn't really apply that much. What is your
Yeah,
thoughts
I
so far?
mean, there wasn't a ton. That's true. I I mean, it's really just about this. I feel like I maybe once I see all three, I'll be able to kind of
Hmm.
see the overall vision in that regard. But liberty, I mean, it's just about her overcoming her dealing with her grief, and also you get a little bit of an idea that maybe he wasn't the best husband, and you find out that he has a mistress, and that you think maybe she was he was taking credit for work that she had done in the writing, and so maybe in
Mm.
that sense that she kind of was liberated from him in a way, or from her grief. I don't know. There's lots of scenes of her swimming, and so I don't know if he's trying to imply
Yeah.
some
Well,
kind of
you're a swimmer, right? That's a
yeah, that's
liberating
right. That's
experience.
liberating. And like there's a lot of things that are blue and sense of
Mm.
the there's a kind of a chandelier type fixture that she finds, and you see the light through the blue crystals of this chandelier, um and like I said, there's lots of swimming in the sky, and the scenes in Paris, and so it's a beautiful movie. It's definitely
Mhm.
it's an art house movie. It's not, it's uh, but yeah, I think that's probably a fair critique, at least so far. I didn't see a ton of obvious themes.
I don't know if it's necessarily a critique. I think it's just more saying that the flag thing was just a thing that Kislavsky was saying, and it's not necessarily what he was interested in. Like
Mm,
I feel like most people agree that these are great movies.
mm.
I'm glad that you're
Have you
enjoying them so
seen
far.
have you seen
I
them?
haven't actually. I've no, I
Yeah.
haven't.
So it'll be. I'm really looking forward to seeing all three, and I will give you guys my update as I see them,
Sounds
and
great.
I look forward to my post at the end of the month where I talk about them, and that's something really fun that I love it every month. I get to look at a film that I get to expand my I
Mhm.
guess the films that I've seen, and so that's always fun.
Yeah, well, that's what this show is all about for us, right? I feel
That's
like
right.
that's kind of why we started it. So that's perfect.
Right. Well, yeah, and then the main reason that I wanted to start was because I knew I wanted to sign up for the channel, but I
Mhm.
was just life gets so busy, and I thought I'm not going to watch as much as I should, and so doing
Mhm.
the podcast will help me to actually make sure I use the subscription
Yeah,
that I should. But anyway, what about you? Have you had the chance to watch anything?
definitely. Yes. So they have this month, they have a celebration of the 100-year anniversary of Toshiro Mifune on Criterion Channel. And he is a Japanese actor who worked with Akira Kurosawa a lot and is a very famous star of Japanese cinema. So I watched one of the movies that I hadn't seen before from him, Yojimbo, directed by Akira Kurosawa from 1961, in which Mifune plays kind of like a nameless samurai who is roaming around the country, and he gets to this town where there's like two like rival warlords who are trying to take control of the town, and he kind of takes advantage, and he kind of plays both sides in order to liberate this town of this sort of like cruel rule that is going on. Um, and this movie, I have to tell you, was pretty awesome.
Mm.
I think it's a perfect first movie for someone who has not seen a lot of Akira Kurosawa or old samurai movies, um, because I think it's first and foremost it's just like a cool adventure action movie. Like if we were to like rank it in our pretentious scale or something, it would be pretty low. It's just this one samurai who is he's just a cool character. He is actually a lot of people say pretty much that the first Sergio Leone Clint Eastwood movie, what do you call that one? A Fistful of
Yeah.
Dollars. That was basically a copy of Yojimbo, like a remake, just set
Hmm.
in the West. And it's funny because, and it makes sense because Yojimbo, when you watch it, it feels kind of like a Western, but in Japan. So, yeah, it's a really dope movie. I had a great time. I can't wait to see Sanjuro, which is the sequel, and then to see just more um, Toshiro Mifune movies on Criterion Channel.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Mhm.
So I haven't seen a ton of Kurosawa. I mean, I've seen shoot my brain. The Magnificent Seven one.
Oh, the Seven Samurai.
Yeah. I've seen that one, and then Ikiru, and then
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the King Lear one.
Oh yeah. Is that Ran
Something.
or Throne of
Throne of
Blood?
Blood. Yeah, it's Throne of Blood.
Okay.
So yeah, and I've enjoyed all the ones I've seen. Some of them are a little long in the tooth sometimes,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I still have enjoyed all of the ones
Yeah.
I've seen of his. So that's cool.
Well, I definitely recommend you Jimbo. That's under 2 hours, and it's a
Ah,
really, really fun movie and really exciting. Um, yeah. And the other one that I was going to recommend for you was Ikiru, so you got me beat on that one. But
yeah.
definitely check out your Jimbo.
I did that for a Kiru for Blind Spot actually last year.
Oh yeah.
So
What do you think of
yeah,
that? Did you enjoy that?
yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good.
It's a
Uh,
very,
so,
yeah,
and
moving movie.
I was gonna say, if people want to read my Blind Spot from March, I actually did Goodfellas. Finally checked it out
Oh,
on my list. So
all right.
I've seen I've finally seen it. So there you go. uh, but what are we talking about this month?
Oh, I'm
This week?
so excited to talk about Police Story, directed by and starring none other than the great Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So how to get into this? Maybe we can talk a little bit about Jackie Chan as a
Yes.
performer, as a director, as a star. Rachel, you got to meet Jackie Chan, did you
I
not?
did. Yes. This was when I was in college. He had put out his autobiography,
Hmm.
and a lot of times those books are just kind of worthless. They're ghost written. They're not not
Hmm.
very good. But I happened to be in San Francisco visiting my grandma, and we were like, hey, why not get to so we got the book, and we just got to shake his hand briefly and whatever. And
Hmm.
so then I since I had the book, I went ahead and read it, and it was actually really good. They should make a book about, I mean, they should make a movie about his life,
Hmm.
because he was basically raised in the Chinese opera, the acrobatic opera, and like he had some wild stories about the way they were treated, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it was very interesting.
Hmm.
And he goes into all his career and his various attempts to try to make it in the States, and his personal life. And I don't know, I really enjoyed the book. And I've always liked martial arts films, but I oddly enough hadn't seen this one. I should have, but I certainly liked all of his American films, like Rumble in the Bronx and movies like that. And I uh, I've seen some Bruce Lee and some different
Hmm.
different more modern films. But I hadn't seen this one. But yeah, he's a really really interesting life.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I think you are totally right that I think that when you talk about Jackie Chan, and even when he gives interviews about his life, he always goes back to that Chinese opera school in which he
Hmm.
grew up. That seems to be like the big defining thing about his life, really. His parents were apparently refugees from World War II, and they basically gave him up to this
Hmm.
kind of like school which trained people in Chinese opera, which has been described as kind of part boarding school, part kind of like military barracks. They like from the age of 6 to 16, he would
Yeah.
like train every day, all day, basically. And he didn't really get an education, like he was illiterate until the 90s or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a crazy story in the book about how they were very, very regimented about what they were allowed to eat. And, they're training. And one day, I guess they went to a restaurant of some kind, and he ate he kind of grabbed an additional bowl of rice and just kind of
mm,
scarfed it down really quick. And he knew he was going to get very punished for it. And so he's just crying the whole time he's eating the rice. And I don't know. It's just like really intense.
yeah, it's a totally insane thing um, to go through. I am sure, but it's also the thing that made him such a uh, I don't know how to put it, like obsessive person when it comes to stunts and to physical activity and martial arts and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, when he started his career trying to become kind of like a Bruce Lee type performer, and uh, he was famous in the Hong Kong industry for being kind of like the crazy guy who would do the stunts that other people wouldn't do, you
yeah,
know, like the really crazy stuff. And then eventually, what really made him pop and made him famous was his particular style of martial arts. In well, not really martial arts, but more like stunt and choreography in which he really introduced a lot of comedy to it. And he decided that the way to do it was that he was going to be the opposite of Bruce Lee. He was going to be
yeah,
the anti-Bruce Lee, right? Like, whereas Bruce Lee is always in control and it's all about the technique and the form of martial arts, when Jackie Chan fights, it's more like he's always the underdog. He's always trying to like reach for whatever props are around so that he can protect himself, you know? And it's a much more comedic, different kind of style, and it just
yeah.
it was a boom, and he became a superstar in Hong Kong, and then in across the world, eventually in America. Police Story is one of his big hits, which he not only stars in, but he got to direct as well.
Yeah. Did you watch the Edgar Wright piece, the bonus features on
I didn't
Criterion?
watch that one, but I watched some of the others, in which one in which Jackie talks about it, and then a couple others. But
Hmm.
yeah, but you're right that on the Criterion channel they have a lot of bonus features for Police Story, and they're all very, at
Yeah.
least the ones that I saw were very, very exciting. What did
Well,
Edgar Wright have to say?
yeah, it was really good. He just talked about how he had admired, he loved Police Story and how he loved Jackie from really early on, and when he finally got to just a couple of years ago, got to interview him, and it
Hmm.
was really sweet. But it was interesting. He talked about how with Bruce Lee, his gestures are very like bring it on kind of a
Hmm.
gesture, like I'm ready for you kind of a thing. Whereas
Totally.
whereas with Jackie Chan, it's almost like a more of a defensive gesture, like holding
Hmm.
hands up, kind of, sort of thing, and how, like you say, an underdog. And I never really noticed that before, but I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that is, I think, very, very, just to get into the movie, I think that's very apparent in Police Story, especially.
Hmm.
I think that it's a movie about Jackie kind of like almost every set piece. I feel like it's him scrambling to like get the stuff done that he needs to get
Yeah.
done. Even the scene when he's picking up the phones, it's like, when he's in the office and the phones keep ringing
Oh,
and he's
right.
like balancing all the phones, that even that feels like it's just a showcase of, I mean, on one hand, it's a showcase of his abilities as a physical performer, and the other is just this idea that he's like a comedian too, right? Like
Yeah.
he's creating a worse situation for himself than he's already in, and he tries to balance it all out, everything that's happening.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I appreciated is that pretty much every action set piece in the film, he's not afraid to kind of get get beat to a bloody pulp practically. That yes, he does the stunts, but he gets beat up pretty bad. Like
Yeah, definitely.
it's not an action hero in the sense of like a Rambo kind of a, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
that kind of a thing where you're sort of your hero in that way. But
Hmm.
no, he gets, I mean, I was kind of joking when I was watching. I was like, is there any glass left in China? Like after this movie?
Yeah, that's right. In the finale, which is, oh boy, that's an incredible, that whole sequence. It's just the people who worked in the movie actually started calling the movie Glass Story instead of Police Story when they were shooting there, because it's just glass is breaking every couple seconds. It's
Everywhere.
incredible.
There's so much crashing through glass, and I mean he gets beaten up pretty bad, and I appreciate that in an action star. I mean, that's something I always liked in the um the original Indiana Jones movies, is that
Hmm.
he gets beat up pretty bad. He gets punched in the face a lot, and
Yeah.
he's
Well, it's they have a kind of similar energy, Jackie Chan and Indiana Jones as a character, in that
yeah,
they're a little bit of a scrappy underdog, in their adventures. Uh,
yeah,
Even though they're very cool, especially Indiana Jones, but he's always kind of like against all the Nazis, and he's only him, and he's like the odds are against him, so he has to struggle for it.
Yeah.
It's like you say, it's different to the kind of indestructible style of like Bruce Lee, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was fun. Did you have a favorite set piece? The favorite action?
You know, um, I mean, it has to be the end. I feel a little
Yeah.
cheap by saying it, but the finale in the shopping mall with all the glass, and then when he slides down the chandelier, it's just incredible. It's just
Yeah.
like it builds up to that. But there's so many great moments before that I feel are worth shouting out,
Yeah.
especially because I saw also Police Story 2 and 3 this week in preparation for
Uh-huh.
this episode. And Police Story 1 was my favorite, and partially because it has the most exciting uh, action sequences, and they are scattered throughout the movie. The other two have a couple brawls, but they're really just building up to the finale, which the finale in Police Story 3 is particularly incredible. It's
Mm.
just that I would say is one of the best things I've ever seen in terms of action, so I recommend
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, but in Police Story 1, you have like a bunch of really, the beginning is also incredible with the shanty town when the cars are coming down, and then when he's dangling from the bus.
Yeah, the dangling from the bus is really, really good. Yeah, it's crazy. It feels like, oh, it it must be a trick, but you know that it's not.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. And in Police Story 3, he dangled from a helicopter, which I was sure it had to have been some green screen going on, but it wasn't. They
Yeah,
show you at the end because they always show the bloopers at the end, and you see him just dangling from the helicopter.
yeah. I mean, you'd think that at the end when he slides down the Christmas lights chandelier or whatever. I mean,
Hmm.
that would just your hands alone would hurt so bad doing that.
Yeah,
And you kind of wonder, did they just have one take where he could
they
do
only
that,
had
or
one take.
yeah.
I have to tell this to you because you have to. There's this bit of Jackie talking about a police story on Criterion channel.
Hmm.
It's about 15 to 20 minutes long, and he talks about that stunt. And he says they had 12 cameras rolling at the same time,
Hmm.
and he was up there, and they basically had the one take to do it because the chandelier was going to break up, and the kind of like the little hut in which he lands is also going to break when he falls down.
Hmm.
And also, you wouldn't want to do that more than once for
No,
your own, because
it would hurt.
yeah, absolutely. And he did it once, and his hands were completely chafed from the
Yeah,
friction of the pole,
right.
after he did it. And he had glass, cuts everywhere in his body. It was incredible, but the
Ugh,
way he tells it is fantastic because
yeah,
he like builds up the suspense of like, and I was there, and I say, oh, I'm gonna die, and then this guy comes up to me and he gives me this like little Buddha stamp, and I put it in my pocket. It's just great. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
cool.
recommend you
Yeah,
watch that.
yeah. It's interesting because in Rush, the first Rush Hour movie, there it ends with a similar scene in a I can't remember if it's a mall or if it's a office building, but it's a
Mm,
similar scene where he goes down. It's just more of a like a banner kind of a thing as opposed to a light.
right.
But anyway, it's similar dynamic, but this is so much better than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there were a couple things I struggled with in this movie though.
Hmm.
Mainly,
Yeah.
I really struggled with the comedy. I just didn't think it was funny, and I thought some of the set pieces went on way too long, and I was just getting, I don't know, kind of like the whole sequence where he keeps getting the cake in his face, and like I
Oh
felt
yeah.
like, I don't know, those kind of things, and most of the stuff with the two women was just
Hmm.
I'm like, ugh. I didn't
Yeah.
really like it. And
Yeah.
I almost wished I could have just watched a clip reel of the
Hmm.
movie and not had any plot at all. Because I found, I don't know, that was not my favorite.
Yeah, the female characters are definitely weak, and not particularly. I don't know. They are not paid that much attention. There's a lot of stereotypes going on there with the girlfriend, and then
And I
the
just didn't think it was funny. Like it's not like Rush Hour is the most funny movie in the world, but like I would way rather watch, at least for just for jokes. Like
yeah.
I needed better jokes.
It's a particular. Well, there's a couple things, right? I think one thing is that the apparently, from what I hear, there are a lot of like jokes that are just not able to be translated because of the
Yeah.
language thing. So there's a lot of wordplay apparently that's not coming to us.
Hmm.
So that's one thing. But the other thing, I agree with you. He's definitely has a particular sense of humor that I agree with you. It's not particularly funny. I don't think it's funny, but it is like, to me, it's weirdly charming just in how like unfunny it is, and just because he is like he's mugging so much and he's trying to sell it so badly, because that's just the kind of performer that he is, right? He's always giving you 100%, that it's like charming in its own way, even though I will agree with you, it's at times off-putting and at times doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I
um
swear he gets five cakes in his
to
face.
the face, yeah. Yeah, part of it is also just ridiculous. How many cakes are you gonna get to the face? It's not even that funny, Jackie. Come on, move on.
I know.
It's just charming in its own way for me. I would say the thing that I did like in terms of comedy a lot is the moment when um, this guy, he hires this guy to pretend to be a robber to
Yeah, that was such
break
a
it.
weird scene.
It was a very weird scene. What I really like is when the guy goes unconscious and Jackie has to pretend that he's fighting with him, and that he, like a Weekend at Bernie sort of thing, but also an action sequence. I thought that was a really great showcase for how good of a physical performer
Hmm.
Jackie is, and how he can move the body of the guy and pretend that they're fighting and whatever at the same time. That was really impressive to me.
Because he didn't want her to call the police, right?
Yeah,
Because they're
something
on
like
the,
that.
yeah. Uh, it went on a little too long, but
Hmm.
yeah, that did have its moments, that scene. And I also hated the music, the score. I just, oh, I it was this, I don't know, it was so on the nose, and it was so, I just found it so obnoxious, and I wished I should have just turned the sound down and just read the subtitles, because I hated that music a
That's
lot.
interesting. I don't remember the music so much. I watched this movie like a couple of weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
um, and the music didn't jump out. I mean, the only thing that I remember is the theme song of the movie, the one that's like toot 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 toot. But I don't remember the score
Yeah,
so
I mean,
much.
it's similar to, honestly, there was a couple of years ago in the Hallmark movies, there would have this like overly precocious score that would, anything someone like it was deemed as cute would be accompanied by cute music.
Oh, I
And
know what you're talking about,
I
and
feel like that,
Eastern.
was the same here, is that
Yes, yes,
anything that was deemed as sort of funny or cute,
yeah, the comedic moments.
yeah, that
Yes,
would be like,
I get exactly what you're saying.
yeah, it'd be like da 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 da, and I just
Yeah,
found it so annoying, and I was just kidding. I was, I don't know. I
I
think
get
I
it. I get
texted
it.
you at a certain point. I'm like,
Yeah.
this music, it's driving me crazy.
I didn't know you were talking about the comedy, but now it makes total sense. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. That's definitely part of I would say the kitsch, I guess, of the whole thing.
yeah,
Very 80s sort of like synthy music
yeah.
for the comedy. The
Like
guy's
it.
like, "Ba-ba-do-ba-do." Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I was just, I did not like that at all. And it's a different time. It's a different, I get it.
Hmm.
Certainly not a deal breaker, but those are the two things I've struggled with the movie. Like, it's questionably great as far as the action, for sure. That
Hmm.
nobody can deny that. But I almost wished they hadn't even, we could just got rid of all that other stuff and it just been
Hmm.
that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a valid point. Um, how about we go into our questions then?
Yes,
Since
that's good.
um, So the first one is, what do you think makes this a Criterion movie?
I don't really know. I was kind of struggling with that because he's done so many movies, and I don't know why this one above all the rest is, um I mean, why this over, uh I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Rumble in the Bronx is just as good as stunts, and is better story, and a better, I don't know, I like it better, but that's just me.
Hmm.
um but I'm not sure why. What do you think?
Well, I think a couple of things. Well, I think for once I think we will both agree that it's kind of like the stunts are really the thing that is particularly special about this
Yeah.
and Jackie Chan's movies in general. Um, So I think just recognizing that he was a master at this kind of stunt and that he did these incredible things that
Yeah.
cannot be replicated, right? I mean, there hasn't been a new generation of stars in Hong Kong or anywhere that are doing the things that he's was doing at the time, because you don't have places like the Chinese opera school where people are, in indentured servitude for their whole childhood and can come out of it having trained every single day. That's just like
Right.
something that doesn't happen anymore, probably for the best.
Right.
And so it's just, and also you don't have the Hong Kong industry at that time was like kind of not regulated the way things have become now, right? And um, it was just, and it's not like Hollywood, like, they were able to spend months on one set piece, like this thing in the mall. I think they took multiple months to shoot that whole time, and which is something that would never happen in Hollywood, because time is the most important and the most expensive thing in a Hollywood
Right.
production, paying everyone again and again and again. So it's just, it feels like a time capsule to me of a perfect moment in which this kind of action was possible to make.
Hmm. Well,
The
really, and
reason,
when you
yeah.
think about the whole film industry in China, they went from a place where it was almost like a novelty kind of a thing. It was
Hmm.
as for to now where they're the films that they make in China are as regarded and as popular as well seen practically as it,
So Hollywood
here. I mean,
blockbusters, yeah.
yeah, I mean they're making uh, millions of dollars on their films. So it's I think it took people like because it was the same way with Bruce Lee. I mean,
Mhm.
uh, he tried to make it in the United States, but ended up just being this side character on television and
Mhm.
uh, and and then he finally went back to Hong Kong. That's where he made the Enter the Dragon and
Yeah.
those movies and so it took those people to kind of progress to where we are today.
Yeah. Even though in the case of Jackie Chan, I would say it's a little bit, it's kind of heartbreaking to me the way that his career went, in terms of as mainland China gained more influence and the industry there became bigger and Hong Kong started to diminish. Um, in his later years, he has kind of decided to just become like a, um, how do you put it, like a almost like a shill for the Chinese government, and
Mm.
his movies lately have just been like basically propaganda. And anytime
Oh
there's
yeah.
like some kind of protest, Jackie Chan comes out to say, "Oh, the protesters shouldn't be doing this or doing that. The government's great and whatever."
Mm.
I'm not exactly sure why he's decided to do that. Probably because of money and in order to get budgets to make movies. Also, I'm not surprised if he has like a kind of authoritarian streak to him, having grown up in such a strict
Yeah,
environment. Um,
that's
it's
interesting.
just kind of a disappointment that he's decided to go in that way, and
Mm.
it's a little frustrating because the movies that he makes now, um, from what I hear, I haven't gotten the courage to see any of them, but they're basically just propaganda machines. There's
Oh
not a lot of
yeah, I haven't seen anything with him since I did watch The Foreigner. That was like
yeah, but that
that
was more
was
of an
that was pretty
international.
decent. That was pretty
Yeah,
good. But
yeah,
that was like 2017, I think.
yeah.
Mm.
He's been in that kick for a while. That's probably an exception because it was more of a international thing, right?
Mm.
Not just
Yeah,
such production. Um,
interesting. Huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the other reason I was going to say, because why, what you were asking, why Police Story and not other movies like Rumble in the Bronx? I think there's something about the fact the movie was also directed by Jackie Chan, and
Mm.
Criterion is so in love with the idea of the auteur theory, right? And the director as being the one that is given the personality to the movie.
That
And
makes
so it
sense.
makes sense for me that they would gravitate towards movies that he's actually not just a star, but he's also directing.
Mm.
Um, and I think
I can see that.
amongst the ones that he's directed, Police Story and probably Project A are the ones that are most respected and viewed as his masterpieces, I would say.
Mm. Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we have next? We have the next question. Oh, it's our favorite. Where does this rank in the pretentious scale?
I don't think it's pretentious at all. I
I
would
agree
give it
with you.
like a 0. I don't think
Yeah.
it's
I
pretentious
mean,
at
it
all.
was made for a commercial audience in Hong Kong. It's like you say, the comedy is very uh, basic and very,
Very
pie to the
broad.
face kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very broad. And the rest is just action and stunts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, I don't know, it's an interesting one. I mean, I'm glad that they have something like this on here because you need the zeros. You need just
Yeah.
you need it to in order for the channel to be palatable. You can't only have Godard on films on there.
And I think it's good that it's that this brand Criterion that is so associated with a sign of approval and quality and that sort of thing is not just about the pretensions, for like
Right.
a better word, or like the art house titles, right? That it's also saying you can be excellent at doing stunts or in some other cases doing comedy or um,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
So I'm really excited. So next time that we get together, we are going to have a special guest with us. We really enjoyed having Eric the other day, but we are going to have another one of my critic friends. She is behind Rosa's Reviews. Her name is Rosa, and she is she's upcoming critic from Los Angeles, and we asked her if she had signed up for the channel, and she posted on her Twitter, and so I was like, "Hey, we have a whole podcast," and she got really excited, and so anyway, she's going to join us for our next episode, and we're going to talk about the classic On the Waterfront film. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to. Uh,
Marlon Brando,
that's right.
Oscar-winning performance. I have never seen On the Waterfront. Have you, Rachel?
I have. I love it.
Oh, great.
I've often said that this is actually, if you consider it a mob movie, it's actually my favorite of
Mm.
the mob movies. And I love Carl Malden in particular in it. I think he was such a great actor. If you wanted a character actor who would always bring it, he's great in the film. It's beautifully filmed, and Eva Marie Saint is in it, um, and I think it's a really good script, and so I think it's gonna be really interesting to talk about it. And
Mhm.
she's actually she wanted to try one that she hadn't seen before, so she hasn't seen it, so it's going to be fun for
Oh,
two of
so
you.
it's a free-for-all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. That'll be fun to have another guest.
All right. I'm very excited to talk with Rosa, and I will be practicing my Marlon Brando impression.
Yeah, so good. That's good.
Could have been a contender.
That's right.
That's pretty good.
uh, so yes, I'm looking forward to that, and let us know what you think of Jackie Chan. Maybe you have a favorite
Great story.
film
Yeah.
from him that
Oh, we didn't do our remake thing, which I
oh
guess
my
it's fine.
gosh, I
I think
forgot.
it's okay because it's impossible. Nobody can do those
Nobody,
stunts, right? It's just all
nobody.
100% Jackie Chan. But maybe if someone out there has an idea for a remake, they can send it to us.
Yeah, I mean, plus this movie got remade. I think not only were there sequels, but there was also remakes, and so I feel like it's kind of been done, and but and you even have some of that in Rush Hour. Basically, is
Hmm.
similar. It's about these two cops and
Well,
everything.
it's a formulaic, it's a formula, right? It's a cop movie. It's really that like Jackie Chan personality that brings it forward. So it feels kind of weird to
Mhm.
ask for a remake in that way, because like
Yeah,
how are you gonna get Jackie Chan personality without Jackie Chan?
right. Yeah. So make sure you're following us at Criterion Pod on Twitter, and we'd love to have your feedback there. And yeah, let us know what your favorite Jackie Chan film is. It was kind of smart what they did when they brought him over to the U.S. To kind of pin him with a fast talking comic in all
Hmm.
of his movies.
Especially because he doesn't speak much English.
Exactly.
Or yeah.
And so, so Chris Tucker could be a little much for me, but it's still fun enough, I guess.
Yeah.
And uh, so,
But
yeah.
but also I would say before we go, if you have only seen his American movies, you really don't know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Because you were just not able to do the kind of thing he was doing in Hong Kong in America, the kind of stunts and fights and choreography.
Yeah.
So if you have never seen one of his Chinese movies, you really ought to,
Yeah.
from the 80s and the 90s.
Drunken Master is the one that I remember the most that I have seen.
That's
But
also a great one.
that one's like a really good one. So yeah, definitely make sure, like I said, for following us at Criterion Pod. We'd love to hear your feedback. Yes.
So you can find me and Twitter at Coco Hits New York.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media and iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. I'm still trying to do reviews and keep up with things. I also am available at the Hallmarkies podcast, and we've been keeping very, very busy over there. So check that out.
Great.
So
All
thanks.
right.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all with Rosa.
We'll see you on the waterfront.
Yay. Bye, everyone.